So we'll pray first. Heavenly Father, we thank you for these times we've had together. Thank you for the group. Thank you for all that you've been teaching us, and that we can learn skills and we can learn to grow. But also, Lord, there's the whole other side, which is really matters to you, which is our heart. And so help us just to be able to find the balance of that, where our heart is filled with joy while creating, and yet at the same time, Lord, we also find a joy when we are able to enhance our knowledge and skill. So be with those who aren't able to be here with us, as they've got busyness and all sorts of things going on. And in Jesus' name we pray, for your glory. Amen. All right, so contour drawing. I'll just move straight into that. So I'm going to share the screen here and have a PowerPoint to go through it to explain what it is again. So let me just sort of explain. If I go back to the rabbit here that we worked on in the last video. Contour drawing, we're now going to step into contour drawing, and starting off with blind contour drawing for the purpose of when we start to draw from life. We can apply contour drawing to this as well, and I could bring it in and use this as to explain it, but I think it'll be better to go off of some other things. So, all right, so that's why we're moving on to that now. So, where are we? So let's share the screen here. All right, so contour drawing, line drawing, basically it's the difference of where we go from this to this. Oh, and I need to mention that all of these, well, not all of these, but some of these pictures, such as this one here, comes from a book which is titled Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards is her name. So all the credit goes to her for this. This is not, she's not the one who invented contour drawing by any means, but nor is she the one who invented blind contour drawing, as far as I know, because I was doing it long before I ever heard of her. But anyways, but she has put out an excellent book called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. It's very, very good. So I definitely would recommend that. So anyways, I just want to express that. But one thing that's really to show contour drawing, this is contour and this is not contour, as you can see. But the thing to point out, which is really cool, why these exercises that I'm going to explain are so good, is we take a look at the date of this. This is July 11, 1988. This is 2 days later. So to advance from this to this, okay? And once again, it's also, this is drawing what we know, drawing from just simply going off our basic knowledge of hands, which is that every hand has, well, not every, but basically a hand has a thumb and 4 fingers, and those fingers have nails, and we can see the length is proper, but just absolutely flat and dead and lifeless, and actually very unrealistic, okay? Whereas this one, the main point is not the length of the fingers, or in fact, we can't even see all of them, okay? And I can point out inaccuracies in this drawing as much as I can point out inaccuracies in this, but the exciting part is that it's much more alive, okay? It's because it's drawn with what you call a contour line. So this is not new, as I mentioned. Contour line drawing, we can, if we go back, you can see it all through, and especially I have some work by the masters here. We'll take a look at Albrecht Dürer. Okay, so the contour is really where a contour line simply is a line that follows an edge, not an outline, but an edge. So that's a very big difference between that. So we can see all the edges of the cheekbones, and it reveals much of what is below the surface, especially the tendons all through the neck, the wrinkles, and the drapery over here. In this case, with this Indian rhinoceros, very, very exaggerated, and we can see all of it in there as well in these drawings by Da Vinci. Okay. Oh, by the way, this is a really good example of the use of cross contour lines. You see that all in there, right? In his shading, really good example of one of the masters using that. But the contour line is, look at the muscles. Okay, it's showing the edge of all the muscles through. This is seriously exaggerated. Okay, this is one that's maybe not quite so exaggerated. So another one of his, A Study of Hands, but absolutely beautifully done. Another one here by Raphael. So we're looking at the Renaissance guys in the hands here, all through here, showing all of these edges. Michelangelo as well, of course, and we can keep on going, okay? So the way we get there, how do we get to this point? Well, that takes a long time, but, of course, if you're going to get to the point of Michelangelo, give yourself time. But how do we even get from, especially if we are still all the way from here, how do we get even to here? How did they do that? To eventually, getting closer to what these guys, we always want, this is our standard. Even if you never take on this style of drawing, even if you never desire to work realistically like this, simply studying and understanding how to do this will benefit any type of drawing, even if you still work very abstract, stylized, because it helps you understand what you're breaking away from, and it helps you to know what to distort in which direction and how to distort it to make your expression stronger. So we do what's called blind contour drawing, and it's very observational again. So this is just an exercise in seeing, in noticing, and it helps you begin to understand, to really discover what do you notice. When you start, you notice everything, okay? So blind contour drawing simply means you look at the object. In this case, usually where you begin is your hand. At least most teachers start people off there, starting with the hand, 100% of the time, okay? And you look at your paper 0% of the time. And so you get these crazy looking, messy drawings, which is understandable because the purpose is not the drawing, the purpose is the process and the seeing. So it helps you be able to laugh at yourself. Like there's all sorts of other good things about it. And some artists just continually, regularly practicing this. We would do this when I was in university over and over and over again. And to the point, the more you do this, you actually get to a point where you can draw blindly with extreme accuracy. But that takes a lot, okay? I did get to a point when I was in university where I could draw my hand much more recognizable than these are drawn, okay? But the reason is because really when you're drawing observationally, at least this is what I feel, we tend to look at our paper way too much, and we don't look at the model or the object, the subject, the thing that we're drawing, and yet that's where all the information is. So we only, typically we spend, so let's say, well, whatever, I'll just continue on. So if we're drawing our hand, yeah, I'll just go this way. So if I'm drawing my hand, then this is where my information is. I would suggest that we work towards 80% of our attention is looking at this hand, and only 20% is looking down at our paper, okay? And working towards that, because this is where everything is. And you can actually get to a point where your hand will go exactly where your brain and your mind and your eyes telling it to go. That's why people can play the guitar or the piano without looking down at their hands. Their hands are going to go just to the right place, and you don't have to look down, okay? When you're first learning to play the piano, you're always looking at the keys, but every piano teacher is always going to try and teach you to not look at the keys at all, okay? And you don't have to worry. Your fingers will go exactly where they need to go. The same thing is true in drawing. Your fingers, your pencil will go as long as you take the time to practice it. And then you can then really focus your attention on the thing you're looking at, in this case, my hand, okay? Now, to get to that point, we do 100% of the time, and we get blind contour drawing. So here's a couple examples right here. Okay, here's a blind contour drawing, okay, where he's looking 100%, and then this is where he's probably looking 80%, and 20% he's looking down at his page just to make sure that he's in the right place. Okay, same with here. But you can see how much more life it brings to the object here. Okay, so notice same artist. Oh, I guess we can't see that, but same artist. Here's a blind contour, and here's the term is a modified contour drawing. Okay, so this is, by the way, these blind contour drawings are not necessarily single line drawings. Okay, a lot of blind contour drawing can be done as a single line, simply because it helps you stay on the page, but it's not necessary. Okay, but it does. You shouldn't look down at your page to get yourself in the right place. Okay, here's another example again. So here is a blind contour drawing of the hand in that position. Okay, if you want, you can pause the video if you want to read through all of this. I'm not going to spend all the time reading through it. Okay, you don't worry if you go out of the box or off the line or off your page or anything like that. It just simply doesn't matter. Okay, but what matters is really getting all these edges, these contours. Okay, and so this is looking at that and then drawing this. You can also do it with, oh yeah, and don't cheat. What is not blind contour drawing is don't draw around the object, okay? And that's how this one was done. You follow the edge. The line continues on. I've had often students who go back in and add these wrinkles afterwards. It doesn't work. It kills it, okay? Don't add those lines afterwards. So you follow it, okay? Here's some, again, examples, something from the masters. This comes from the Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain book again. Someone did a cabbage here. Someone did a sandal, their hand holding a tube of toothpaste. And what is really cool about this is, I think, I don't know if you guys see this, but this is a total mistake on this drawing. Sorry, whoever the artist was, but the fingernails are actually on the side of the finger. They have the fingernails in the wrong place. Okay, but we hardly notice it because everything else is so well done and it's so captivating. But yeah, that fingernail and that one, those three fingernails should not be there. Try it. You can't actually do that with your fingers. It's not possible. Okay. Again, Albrecht Dürer, praying hands. This is the standard of, the drawing. Again, even if this never becomes your style. So this is not an exercise. I don't believe this is something just for realistic drawers. It's excellent exercise for anyone who's doing any sort of art to help it. So, okay. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and move into, and let me show you how to do this. I'll demonstrate this first. And okay, so here's my paper. Now you're gonna have to trust me that I'm not going to be looking at my hand because you don't know whether I'm telling the truth or not. Okay, so, but I'm going to take my paper down here so it doesn't move on me because I'm going to be using my left hand. Now this is going to be really difficult because my hand that I'm drawing is right beside the drawing, and I would never ever suggest that you do this because it's way too hard to not look down at your paper. Okay, what I do is I actually turn myself sideways. Let me just show up here. So what I would do is, since I am right-handed, since I draw with my right hand, I turn myself this way to the right, and I put my hand up here, my pencil is down here, and I simply draw. And maybe I could even do it that way. If I put it on gallery view or something like that, that will actually be able to work. So you can see me and know that I'm not cheating, and then that will actually help me, okay? Now let me explain so they can see this well. Let me go back to speaker view. how do I go about doing this? This is the way I look at it. I sort of imagine in my mind that my pencil and my eyes are going for a walk, and they're walking together through some sort of landscape. And the landscape that they're walking through in this case happens to be my hand. Okay, but I imagine my hand as an actual landscape, and we're going for a walk together. And I pick a point where I begin. Okay, somewhere I could start at this edge, but pick a contour, either a valley or a hill. So I kind of call these hills. So an outside edge is like a hill. I'm on the edge of a hill. In this case, it has to be a cliff, so I'm walking down the edge. Or it can be a valley where there's like a deep recess, and then we see a line is being revealed there. And so we're going for a walk, okay? And you don't just glance at the whole thing and see it as a whole. Really try to train your eye to start at this point and then move slowly through. And your pencil, so as your eye slowly walks through here, take your time, your pencil is walking in the same speed in the same direction, okay? And then you come to a point, so let's say here, come here, and it stops because we've bumped into this ridge of this line here. And so maybe we need to back out. So we walk backwards again. But here we come to the end of it, so we can't go that way. So where do we go? And if your pencil moves this, or if your eye moves this much, move your pencil with it. Don't get lost. And so maybe we need to move over here to the next one. And then there's a little one there. And then we walk back again. And then our eye travels slowly over here, and then we move on to the next one. And we go back again. By the way, you can ignore your shadows. So don't worry about shadows and highlights right now. We're only worried about the contours. And then we go to the next one, and then we slowly travel, okay? Or let's say if you're walking on the edge, your eye is slowly traveling, and do you see that? Don't ignore this tiny little contour. So tiny. Don't ignore that. You come up, walk up into there, turn around, walk back, go to the next one, walk up there, turn around, come back, go to the next one over here. And now this is where you might find yourself at a point where you're like, okay, I'm stuck. Where do I go now? Okay, so you may need to make a jump, and this is where you might lift your pencil off the paper as your eye jumps up to this one, okay? Or better yet, even just walk it, and you can see this is really close. I can actually get over to here, and then I can get over to there, or whatever, but you just find your edge, because the final piece doesn't matter, okay? And then there's the contour around the fingernail, and your hand is going like that. Okay, so that's what my eye is going to be doing. Okay, my eye is going to be doing this, and then my pencil is going to be doing the same thing. So let me switch over to the gallery view, where you can see both of them happening. And I'm not going to draw my whole hand, because the idea is that I go very slow. But I'm going to start, can I get my hand in place where you can see it? Get a little bit closer. I'm going to start down, I think, where should I begin? Yeah, I think I'm going to start here and work my way around the thumb. Okay, so I'm going to work my way around the thumb like this and everything. Okay, so you have an idea where it is that I'm working from. All right, so I pick a point, and my eye is walking and my hand is going with it. And I'm taking my time, and I'm going up. I come to the edge, and I'm actually already got myself kind of stuck in the middle of the hand here, not really stuck. So I'm going to move on, all right, and I'm going to get myself, just as I want to be able to draw something a little bit more interesting than just the lines through the middle of my hand. So at this point, I pay attention to every single little contour. In reality, if I'm doing a more realistic drawing, I would have to ignore some of them. I would have to make that sort of decision on decide which is really important, which is necessary for the expression of this, and what is too much, what is distracting. No different than if I were drawing a tree. I can't draw every single branch. I can't draw every single leaf. I have to leave some out. Okay, so, but at this point, but if you're to do this, and you could do this exercise while drawing a tree as well, because the exercise is not about drawing. The exercise is two things. It's about seeing, and it's about hand-eye coordination. So the slower you go, the better. And really train your eye. It just slows you down, because that's a part of art as well. Which is really interesting, because it may seem like I'm contradicting myself in what I had said earlier when we were doing shading, and I was talking about line quality, and I was talking about letting your line show, where I talked about this faster line. Because you also need to learn that as well, is a line that's either fast or slow, whatever it is, the more confident your line is, whether you're doing it fast or slow, the more confident it is, the more successful it's going to be. And that's, you know, we accept that in everything else.
Rick, quick question.
Yeah.
You roll from your thumb into doing the first finger?
Nope. I've only been doing my thumb. It probably doesn't even look like it.
Okay. I wasn't.
Okay, so now I've come to the end here, but there's a bunch more wrinkles near the bottom that I just didn't get. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to draw a line. I'm going to lift my pencil. I'm going to move as my eye goes over and picks one. Now I'm just going to spend some time really noticing, trying to see all of these little wrinkles in there. Because why not? The benefit of this exercise is the time you put into it, not the success. I have a friend, he's an artist, and he told me he will do this. He'll go out, he'll take a day, and he'll go sit somewhere, look at a scene. Now he's over in the Southwest, so it might be somewhere near like Monument Valley. He might be looking at all the hills, but you could be sitting there looking at the forest, and he'll do this for 2 hours. Now, if that's going to kill your joy, then don't do that. For him, it doesn't kill his joy. For him, it's just, he loves it. It's the benefit. I have never achieved that. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Okay, let me click on that, go to the speaker view, and bring that up. Okay, so you can see how far off I was, but this got way too skinny. This is supposed to be, you know, all of this is supposed to be in here. You know, the line was so clearly my eye and my hand. Well, I mean, that's one thing. It shows you how your hand-eye coordination, how much it's not there when you begin. You may think it is. But anyways, this is the practice exercise, okay? And the point is to pay attention and to notice and get all of these little things, and to really begin to see and to draw a lot, and following this and following the contour. And you can make really cool drawings. Picasso, I understand, did this a lot. And even some of his, well, because anything that he put his hand to now is of value simply historically. But yeah, you can find Picasso blind contour drawings, and some people love them and see them as art in of themselves. And sure, why not? That's totally fine, because they do also create quite the expression as well, and they're interesting and exciting, and you know, blah blah blah, whatever. But that's just going to depend on your personality. So, but you can do this with this, and looks like you guys are already trying. That's excellent. And Elizabeth, for you, it's not new. You've done this a lot of times before. And that's fantastic. If you get bored of drawing your hand, find something interesting. As my skull here. Skulls are excellent for this sort of thing. This is great practice for drawing drapery, the folds and the wrinkles in cloth, and a really good study for that as well. But yeah, same thing. This is just full of contours all through here. You can see the edges, but the whole point is to really, it's studying. It's studying is what it is. And when you get out in nature and you're studying a mountain, if you're trying to capture the character of that mountain, you have to see what is unique between that mountain and other mountains. That's, so you're not drawing a symbol of a mountain, you're capturing the essence of that particular mountain, right? If you're to draw Mount Hood or Mount Rainier, or if you're drawing the Matterhorn, or if you're drawing Kilimanjaro or Mount Fiji, they all have their very definite characteristics. And it's just, it's such a good exercise. And the beauty of it is too, is it can become such a meditative sort of thing as well, where it's just a quieting yourself, a way to calm yourself too as well. So just, if you let yourself, it can become a really, really cool exercise. So you can do it as a single line drawing as well. I'll just go ahead and demonstrate that. Let me go to the view here, and I'm just going to bring in the skull. I'll just put this into the drawing here. And at this point, I might even switch to using a pen, just so you'll be able to see it more clearly. All right, so you can, and I'm just going to go a little bit quicker this time so we can get, oh, is my pen not working? Can't use that one. All right, I'll just switch to a dark pencil, or I'll press a little bit harder. And actually what I'm doing right now is, I'll even call that, this is like a modified. So now I'm actually going 80% of the time. So I'm glancing down at my paper to make sure that my hand is in the right place. I'm speeding this up for the sake of the drawing, for the sake of not getting bored. But I am still, again, you have to trust me because you can't tell what I'm focusing on. But I'm going ahead and lifting my hand. I'm glancing down at my paper. But as my pencil is moving, I'm only glancing down just to make sure that I'm in the right place. And my pencil keeps moving while I'm not looking at it. But obviously now I'm not getting all the weird sort of effects that I did before. Where everything is out of place, but I'm still, but the advantage is now that I'm capturing a line that has that same sort of quality. And also, just another thing to introduce what I'm doing here is I'm trying to do what's called an accented sort of line, where I'm changing the thickness of my line and the pressure. So my line gets light and dark. And I'll even go back over some of these to bring out what I want to stress, what I see as more important. So like maybe the bottom of this, the root that's coming out of here. So my line actually changes and gets lighter and darker. And so, yeah, so what you can see, I'm going really fast and there's a lot of inaccuracies because of the speed I'm going at. But it is still capturing the essence of the skull here. It's running into the hand drawing, of course. And let's go inside here, and there's all sorts of contours inside of that. And boy, when you have something like a skull with all these intricacies, all these interesting cracks and lines running through it, the whole piece itself just can take on such an interesting sort of view. Maybe this is why this is way too small, by the way. I can see that. And this also, as I'm looking at this and comparing the two, this is where this shows that it would be really beneficial to have mapped this out first, okay? Because if you take a look at, let me tilt this so you can see the angle that I was looking at. Okay, so this is the angle that I was seeing it at. Let me move this over. The placement of the eye socket to the broken part around the nose here, those are at a place, okay? The size, this, I have my size wrong. The placement is wrong. The size of this, I mean, look how big I have this here compared to, let me tilt this more compared to what it really is. No, the camera is distorting it because this is so close to the camera. But this is not as big as I made it here, okay? This needs to be moved over. So that's where, remember like what I did with the rabbit, remember how I mapped everything out first. So when it comes to drawing, you combine all of these things when you're just coming to a precision in your drawing. Even, even if I'm drawing my hand, I might first, map it out, get a full sense of the hand, okay? And get that worked out first before I move into doing the contour stuff, okay? Yeah, and then let me show you while you guys are working. I'm gonna go grab some other sketches of some hands that I was actually working on as just more exercise. So let me pause it here. You guys can keep on drawing. Okay, so just showing a couple of different sort of, possibilities of, combining it all together in different sort of ways of just practicing and studying. And to be honest, I make this a part of my morning devotion. That may not work for other people, but I sit and I listen on Bible Gateway. I just put it on the audio Bible, and because I just find it very meditative. Okay, so this is combining. So this is my own thumb. And by the way, I'm using what this is called Conte crayon. It has a sort of sepia color to it. It's much redder in reality than it shows in here. This is where taking everything from the rabbit, contour drawing, shading, all of it, bringing it all together, right? So this is a little more in-depth study. This is one I'll work from. This is actual taken from Michelangelo. I really could be working bigger, and he would have practiced it bigger. But okay, so we have the contour drawing. We've got the shading happening in here with all the intricacies. I'm trying to follow the cross contour lines, as you can see here. Okay, you may recognize this as also from Michelangelo, from studying the hand of God in the creation of Adam. Okay, so bringing in, yeah, so here contour drawing is happening, but you can see all of those little minute things here are left out. Okay, that's not, I'm not putting it in here, neither did Michelangelo, because that would have been horribly distracting down in there. And then here's an even looser one drawing, but you can see, here's a couple of them because they're important. Those are important. Here's the one, there's one. Okay, so here's, and you can see I'm speeding it up. I'm trying to work with a much faster line here, but because of studying this, your line quality gets much more accurate. Studying this, it helps you be able to move into being able to draw with precision and much more speed. Okay, and now I'm here, I'm doing another practice. So now I'm just, practicing drawing an elephant, and again, all of those sort of processes, focusing on the highlights, focusing on the shadows, all that sort of stuff. Okay. Yeah, so that's just another different type of exercise that you could do. Okay. All right, so how do you guys do? I'm going to switch you over to gallery view here. Anyone want to hold up or move their phone and put it over top of their, if you were practicing, you might have been working on your own thing too. So did any of you guys try some contour drawing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I drew my hand and my thumb.
Okay.
It's like this.
You have to hold it a little bit closer, and then just hold it. Oh, beautiful.
That's really good. Wow.
Okay, that obviously wasn't blind. You were looking there, but that's really, really well done.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Yeah. Again, if you enjoy it, try it going out into the forest. Take your sketchbook with you into the forest, Katie, when you go in there.
Yeah.
Find a branch or a leaf or a plant or, whatever. Okay, you want to try something really fun and I always do this in class. Of course, it's not going to really work right now. I suppose you could, if you could put yourself in gallery view or something like that, is I get my students to sit across from each other and do blind contour drawings of the person across, of their face. Of course, they look absolutely ridiculous. And that's usually how I end, because it's just a lot of fun and a lot of laughter. But maybe your nephews will let you do blind contour drawings of them, Katie.
Still stand still for.
There you go. Awesome, Teresa. Yeah, you can already see. Oh man, like even some of those are that's quite accurate.
Is it?
Yeah, just hold that. Yep, just hold it right there. Yep, that's exactly the right idea. Totally. Yeah, very good. How about you, Elizabeth? Nice, nice, cool. Oh, I love even your line you're getting the dark and light. You're getting the varied line in there as well.
Ooh, yeah.
Which really adds to it. Yeah. Yeah, those are really good. And it's.
Is that blind?
Yeah.
Wow, because it looks like you picked up your pencil, but you seem to get the lines in the right spot and stuff.
I don't know.
What?
You've been doing so. Yes, if you've been doing blind.
I've been doing it a couple times.
Yeah, yeah, and because you're still doing a lot of drawing, right?
Yeah.
On your own, right, Elizabeth? Like you're just constantly practicing drawing.
Yeah.
And that just becomes the benefit of it. Remember the thing I shared about the ceramics class, the people who just kept doing it over and over and over. Like there's so much good benefit to it. So you know, yeah, however, you know, find the subject matter you like. Do the thing that Leo shared with us about 4-3-2-1. 4 from pictures, 3 from life. You can correct me on this, Katie and Elizabeth. 3 from life, 2 from imagination, and 1 from memory, right? Did I get that right?
4, 3, 3, 1.
4-3-3-1. That's what it was. 4-3-3-1. Yeah, you could do 4-3-2-1 too. You know, or you come up now. That's just his way of doing it, right? That's just
Yeah.
another teacher's way of doing it. You find your own way.
Yep.
It's
Well, yeah, those
yeah,
are the ways.
but you know, sketching. I always like, and for me, I would always encourage people, whatever you're practicing, that you're doing sketching and studying. Sketching is where you practice just the quick, and you're getting the speed, and then studying is where you practice the slow, where you're slowing yourself down. And if you just work at both of those, you know, I suppose again, like a piano player, they have to practice how to play staccato, and they also have to practice, I don't know what you call the other, you know, where you're, you know, much more, you know, it's a slower column where you're holding the keys long, you know, you got to practice it all. So anyway, all right. I'm just going to stop the video here because we'll just keep on talking. Otherwise